What's up, Hardstylers? This is Hector here, the Kettlebell Coach. In this video, we're going to be continuing our Kettlebell Beginner's Guide series. And we're going to be focusing on today is how to grip a kettlebell and how to hold a kettlebell depending on the exercises that you're doing. If you missed the first episode in this series, there should be a video here over my shoulder. Watch that first for context and then come back to this video. Okay, so if you're new to the channel, my name's Hector Gutierrez Jr. For over 12 and a half years, I ran one of only 2 kettlebell-only training facilities in Texas. Our gym was located here in Corpus Christi called the Hardstyle Kettlebell Club, where we helped men and women build stronger, leaner, more capable bodies in about 90 minutes per week. So that way, ultimately, they could have more time to do what they enjoy doing versus trying to be the best at exercise. So if that sounds like you, welcome to the channel. In the description, there'll be a link to a free 4-week strength program. So if you're a complete beginner, that's where I recommend you start putting things into action of what you're learning in this series. Okay, so why is knowing how to grip a kettlebell important? Number 1, hand care. The most overlooked aspect of strength training with kettlebells is grip and hand care. I remember a friend of mine, shout out to Mark Limbaga, he asked me over a decade ago in the context of preparing for a kettlebell certification. So if you're not aware, there's a governing body called Strong First that is the School of Strength. And through this School of Strength, I work with Pavel and many of the other instructors, and we help certify coaches and strength enthusiasts to become kettlebell certified. And he asked me, what's the most overlooked aspect? Like in your experience going through the certification and teaching these certifications, what's your most overlooked, or what's the most overlooked aspect? And every time, 11 times out of 10, I will say knowing how to grip a kettlebell and building your strength and taking care of your hands. Because if you're not familiar with how this works, is the kettlebell certification is a 3-day event, and you're training all day long from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and sometimes a little bit later than that. But from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. you're swinging kettlebells, you're pressing, you're squatting, you're snatching, you're doing all the kettlebell things. And by the end of the first day, if you don't know how to grip a kettlebell, I mean, your hands are going to be torn up pretty good. I remember at my level 1, this was back when it was only the RKC, my level 1, by the end of the first day, we'd done over 1,000 swings. I counted them. We'd done over 1,000 swings. And by the end of the first day, people's hands were just completely shredded and torn apart. On the last day, in order to pass, you have to do a strength test. And that strength test is 100 kettlebell snatches in 5 minutes or less. If you're a lady, depending on your weight class, it's 12 kilos or 16 kilos, i.e. 26 or 35 pounds respectively. If you're a gentleman, depending on your age and your weight, 20 kilos or 24 kilos, which would be 44 pounds or 53 pounds respectively. So being able to do that in 5 minutes or less, well, a big majority of the candidates, I'll never forget, that Sunday morning, everybody's at breakfast and everybody's comparing hands. Like, man, what do your hands look like? What do your hands look like? Some of these people, it looks like their hand would you took like a cheese grater and just completely shredded their hands apart. And I don't know, intuitively, I guess, knew to really focus on taking care of my hands. So it looked like I hadn't touched a kettlebell that whole day. And I remember one of my Aussie friends sitting next to me, he said, mate, it looks like you haven't touched a kettlebell this whole weekend. And that's why I want to show you this, because if you're a beginner and you found this thing that's a kettlebell and you're enjoying it and you want to strength train for the long haul using kettlebells, and you might even have aspirations to going to an SFG, Strong First Geria, SFG kettlebell certification, you need to have not only a strong grip, but you need to know how to grip the kettlebell, how to move the kettlebell in and out of the hand, how to hold the bell depending on the exercises that you're doing. In the description, a Master SFG Director of Education for Strong First, Brett Jones, wrote a fabulous article on how to grip the kettlebell for the military press. So I'm not going to dive into that too much because Brett did an amazing job explaining that. I'll drop that link in the description. Go to Strong First, check that article out, okay? But I'll give you a brief overview of what it is. Depending on the structure of your anatomy, you're going to get more out of gripping one particular way. And actually, I'm gonna save that as I get into the actual grips, depending on the exercises that we're doing. So in the kettlebell world, the exercises are categorized into two categories. You got grinds and you have ballistics. If you've never heard that term before, if you're a beginner, you're never like, what are grinds and ballistics? A grind is your slow movements. Those are your presses, your squats, deadlifting. This isn't a kettlebell exercise, but doing chin-ups and pull-ups, those are grinds. So those are your slow movements. Depending on those Turkish get-ups is another one. If you're performing your grinds, you want to grip the kettlebell a particular way, and this is where Brett Jones' article comes in. Then you have another category that are called ballistic exercises. Those ballistic exercises are the dynamic movements, the explosive movements. In the kettlebell world, we would call these sub-maximal plyometrics. So you've probably heard the term plyometrics. That's like jumping, okay? Bound jumping and whatnot. Well, the problem with jumping exercises is if you're a beginner, if you've got mileage, if you've got a knee issue, if you've got a foot issue, like you're not going to enjoy, your body's not going to enjoy leaving the earth and then making an impact and coming down. Well, through the ballistic exercises, which are swings, cleans, snatches, and even jerks, which you've seen me doing ad nauseum here on this channel, those are those dynamic movements. They're the athletic movements. Those are the movements that turn you into an athlete. Outside of the kettlebell world, you would know this as sprinting and jumping. But again, most people are not ready for that. So the kettlebell ballistics are sub-maximal plyometrics. You get the same benefits, the power, the agility, the coordination, the quickness. You get those same attributes, okay? And it sculpts an athletic body. If you want to look like an athlete, you need to train like an athlete. And doing the kettlebell ballistics is one of the best ways to get there without the pounding on the body. So those are the two categories, grinds, ballistics. If you're going to be doing ballistic movements, you want to incorporate a hook grip. So you'll notice here, we're not going to grab the bell with like the center of my palm. I'm not going to grab the bell here for these ballistics. The reason for that is if I grab deep into the palm, what's going to happen is it can pinch my callus line. So the callus line here is right where the finger kind of meets the knuckle right here. So this callus line, this is where we should develop our calluses, and even on our fingers, because that's where we're going to be hooking the kettlebell. We should never have, and if you do have calluses developing in the center of your palm, that's a key indicator that you're over gripping the bell. And that friction over time is just going to tear your hand apart. Oftentimes, people will over grip because they either lack confidence in their hook grip or they just haven't developed the strength in their fingers. How can you do that? Well, by doing more ballistic work, by doing like farmer's carry holds, farmer's carries, hanging from a chin-up bar. Those are great means to building that hook grip, okay? So when we're doing ballistics, swings, cleans, and snatches, we want to completely pass over the center of this palm, and we want to catch the bell and hook it in the center of our palm. I mean, the center of our fingers, okay, the hook of the fingers, and not the center of the palm. So you can see if I'm holding it here and I'm doing a lot of repetitions, let's say I'm doing cleans where the bell is like rotating in and out of my hand, that over time just completely tears apart the center of the palm. And that's where you'll see most people having tears in the center of the hand. So for the ballistic exercises, we want to hook the bell. One of the ways that you'll want to hold the kettlebell, now this is where Brett Jones' article comes in, because in that article he talks about radial deviation and ulnar deviation. So depending on your anatomy, if you just pick your hands up, they cover this in the article on how to establish this for yourself. So for me, I'm more radial deviated, okay? So you see if I just pick up my hand and I open it, you can see that my callus line, everything is flush here, okay? Versus more ulnar deviated, my hand would be kind of pointed out this way. Some people's anatomy and structure looks like this. And so with a more ulnar deviated grip, This is particular for like pressing kettlebells. Having a more ulnar deviated grip, you'll have a deviated anatomy, you'll do better at holding the bell diagonal to the calluses. Do you see that? Versus if, for me, I'm more radial deviated. So let me show you really quick. If I go into a super deep grip because of my anatomy, and I close my hand, I can't get a full purchase and a full squeeze of the kettlebell. There's a gap. I can take my finger and stick my finger in there. There's a gap there. But if you are more ulnar deviated, you'll be able to grip the bell all the way while keeping that deep grip, okay? Now and the reason that's important, Brett covers this in the article, is if you are more ulnar deviated, but you grip more radial deviated, and a radial deviated grip would be, instead of gripping up higher up into the top part of the handle, you grip more towards the pinky side. If you grip more towards the pinky side, so you can see for me, I'm stronger in that grip because my wrist is positioned this way, okay, more towards my radial side. And I can get a full squeeze. There's no room here, okay? So from here, I'm really strong and it doesn't bother my shoulders. But if I'm ulnar deviated and I grip the bell in a radial position, you might start to feel things just aren't gonna operate very well. And I know Brett said that he started having some pain in his shoulders and then he went back to what he was doing naturally, which is putting the head bell deeper. That said, since we're speaking in the context of ballistic work, I feel ballistic work, since you're not grinding through, okay, you're not grinding through any angles, no 90-degree grinds or anything like that, it doesn't bother me at all if I go deep grip with the ballistic work. So this is where holding the kettlebell, okay? So as we clean, once we hook, okay, nothing on the center of my palm, and as I clean the kettlebell up, all right, as I clean the kettlebell up, I want to completely relax my hand. You got to relax your hand on the way up. Once you grip it, there's tension there, but then as you drive and snap your hip, relax your hand. As you relax your hand, it allows you to move your hand. It allows you to move your hand in and out of the bell. That's the key. If you're over gripping it like a dumbbell, you won't be able to move your hand in and out of the bell. And what's going to happen is the bell will start to rub in your hand and smack your wrist, okay? So you want to keep a relaxed grip. As soon as you drive your hip, relax that grip so you can move your hand in and out of the bell. Now, if we're doing repetition cleans, repetition snatches, I recommend gripping the bell up towards the thumb side, because as you swing and you snap your hip, you're going to be up high into the bell already, and then as you relax your hand, you'll be able to put your hand inside and you'll land in this deep diagonal grip here. Why is this grip important? This is what we call the false grip. I don't have to grip the bell here. The bell just rests and locks into place. So the bell's not going anywhere from here. So if I'm doing high repetitions, I want to keep my grip as relaxed as possible. Same thing would be for snatches. When I snatch the bell, okay, when I snatch the bell, I'll start here in the middle, but I can deviate up here towards the top part, thumb side. You have thumb side and pinky side. As I deviate to the thumb side, I want to be able to put my hand into the bell. And you can see here, my hand is completely relaxed and my hand is in deep, really, really deep there. There's no space here towards the ulnar part of my wrist. And my grip is completely relaxed. So I can do high repetition snatches while preserving my grip. So that's the key thing there to understand. So let's say if you are more radial deviated, so you want to be able to crush the bell when you're pressing, but let's say you're doing like a complex to where you're doing, you know, presses and cleans, clean and press, or you're doing presses and snatches. The skill, that's why we say strength is a skill. The skill is to be able to move your hand in and out of the bell from thumb side to pinky side, and that just comes with time and practice. So you'll see here, I can go from, just as years of doing this, gripping in the middle, and let's say I'm going to do high repetition cleans. Let's say I want to be able to clean but move my hand deep into the bell so I can relax my grip. I don't want to be landing in a crush grip every single time because I'll burn myself out. So I want to be able to land in this thumb side grip. But now let's say I'm doing presses. The skill set is to be able to clean to more of the pinky side so I can get a full purchase and crush the bell. Okay, so you see I can go from pinky side to thumb side, and that just comes with practice. And you'll notice that when I relax my hand and I push my hand in and out of the kettlebell, it doesn't smack me in the wrist. So I'll turn to an angle, a little bit of an angle here. I'm gonna over grip, and you see how it falls and smacks me in the wrist because I was just constantly gripping the kettlebell. As I drive my hip, I like to open my hand and move my hand in the bell. That way I know that I'm relaxing my grip. And you see there's no impact. See? And this is a light bell. So if I can make, and this is another skill set, if you can do the same technique with a light kettlebell, you'll be able to do it with a heavier kettlebell. You should not need a heavy weight to be able to perform the exercise. You should be able to make a lightweight look heavy, and vice versa. So you see, I'll demonstrate really quick with this one. I'll move my hand in and out of the bell, and you can see that there's no impact, okay? All right, no impact. This is 28 kilos, not crazy heavy, but a legitimate weight. The goal is to make that weight look like that weight. With no impact, still opening my hand, moving my hand in and out of the bell, okay? So you see I'm just relaxing my hand. As soon as I drive my hip, I relax my hand and put my hand inside. And you can see I've got the deep grip for ballistic exercises, whether that were cleans, swings, snatches, and even jerks. And so that's why if you've seen my videos of me doing jerks, I'm always trying to find that deep position. Even though I'm more radial deviated, but this with ballistics, since we're not grinding through, we can enter into that deeper grip position. We should be able to with no issues. And then we have our crush grip. The crush grip is, we want to be able to put and generate tension into the weight. So in order to do that, we want to cover as much of the surface now with our palm possible for the grind. Now the clean portion, you'll hook with your fingers. But then once you clean, you want to be able to clean, depending on if you're ulnar or radial deviated, you want to be able to clean to that position. Then you can get a full purchase covering the full center of your hand. When you do that, that creates hyperradiation, okay? When you can squeeze your free hand and squeeze that handle, what you do is you put a lot of the tension from your body into the weight, making you stronger and almost in a sense, virtually making the weight lighter. So I'm gonna clean, and I'm gonna clean it to my preferred position because I'm more radial deviated, okay? So even if I were to start thumb side grip or even in the middle, I should be able to clean to this pinky side. See, so now I can grab and still get a full purchase on the bell, and it's horizontal across my calluses versus being diagonal across my palm. Okay, so let me get right back to that position. So this is the grip that you're gonna want for your front squats. This is the grip that you're gonna want for your strict presses, for your get-ups. You're gonna want that crush grip, but your crush grip might look different from my crush grip depending on the anatomy of your wrist and your structure. And that's pretty much it. So just quick overview, quick recap. We've got our 2 categories of exercises. We've got grinds, and then we have ballistics. Your grinds are your slow movements. So within the kettlebell space, the grind movements you're gonna have are gonna be your get up, it's going to be your presses, and it's gonna be your front squats. And then the ballistic are gonna be the other 3 exercises. You got swings, cleans, and snatches. Those make up the 6 core kettlebell exercises within the level 1 curriculum of kettlebell training. And depending on the exercises that you're doing, you're going to use either a crush grip or a false grip. If you're training with ballistic exercises, you're always going to go with a hook grip so you're not tearing apart the center of your hands. Our calluses that we want to build up are on the callus line itself and even into the fingers, because that's where you're going to be hooking the kettlebell. And then depending on your structure, if you're doing crush grip for presses, you might be more radial or ulnar. For ballistics, you can go more ulnar side just because you're not grinding through. And that ulnar side allows you to find that false grip that I mentioned. So those are essentially your 2 main different grips. Crush grip to generate tension, which are for your grinds, and then your false grip, and that's going to be that deep grip to where you're getting more up into the thumb side of the kettlebell versus the pinky side. That's going to allow you to work on more of your ballistic movements, your cleans in particular, snatches, and jerks. For swings, you're not going to really be getting your hand in the bell because you're just going to be holding it by the hand. And on that one, I recommend just a hook grip from here. So if this video helped you out, be sure to subscribe to the channel, click the like button, turn on notifications for more kettlebell content, and also to be notified of the next video in this series. And if you need help building a stronger, leaner, and more capable body, be sure to click the link in the description section to download your free 4-week strength program.